So there I am, this guy who's all about solo camping. It's my go-to for some peace and quiet. Yesterday I decided to hit up these mountains, find a campsite near this popular range. No Christmas plans, so why not? I'm thinking the place would be pretty empty. And bingo, I'm the only one there. I spend the day hiking, really soaking in the solitude. The air's crisp, the sky's clear. It's just perfect. But as I'm hiking back to my tent after a long day, something weird happens. I spot movement up on a hill. At first I think it's an animal, but as I get closer, I realize it's a man walking towards me, all dressed in black. Now, seeing another person out here is rare, especially around Christmas. My heart starts racing, and I instinctively grab my pocket knife. The guy's getting closer, head down, and then he looks up and starts waving at me in this freakish way with this eerie smile. He tells me he's lost, but all I can focus on is his putrid breath. It was so bad, it made me feel sick. And this whole guy, how he was dressed, his wide pale eyes, his breathing, it all just made me sick to my stomach. I quickly tell him which way to go, making up a story about friends waiting for me. No way am I letting this guy know I'm out here alone. As I walk past him, I glance back. He's just standing there, still waving with that creepy smile. I pick up my pace, eager to get back to my tent. But then, just as I'm about to unzip my tent, I hear a rustling sound behind me. I freeze, my hand on the zipper, and slowly turn around. There's nothing but the dark, dense forest. My mind races. Was it just the wind, or was someone or something lurking in the shadows? I stand there for a moment, listening intently, but there's only silence. Shaking off the feeling, I enter my tent, trying to convince myself it was nothing. But then, around 3:15 a.m., I wake up to the sound of my tent zipper. I'm a light sleeper on these trips, always on guard. I've got my handgun for protection, never used it, but it's there. I grab the gun, aim it at the tent door, and yell out, "I've got a gun here and I won't hesitate to mess you up." Silence, then footsteps running off. I call the cops, and they arrive in about 20 minutes. I give them the rundown and they find the same guy from the road, the one with the freakish smile, hiding in a tree not far from my tent. He's high on mushrooms, lost, thinking my tent was his. They cuff him, and as they're putting him in the car, he looks at me with that same freakish smile again. He apologizes, but I'm just stunned. I decide not to press charges. He's just a dumb high kid, harmless. But that smile, it's haunting. But that's it for me. I'm rattled, can't sleep. I pack up and leave the campsite. There's no way I'm staying after all that. Between the creepy guy with the freakish smile, the rustling in the woods, and now this same guy with that chilling grin, it's just too much. I need peace and quiet. But this is a whole other level of crazy. So I'm Ben, living down in Australia, in this place called Victoria. There's this massive area called the High Country. It's all mountains and valleys, super remote. You need a four-wheel drive to get anywhere. My partner Jess and I, we're into four-wheel driving, and we decided to hit up this place called Wanangata Valley for a camping trip. A break from the world, no phones, just us and the wilderness. We got our four-wheel drive all prepped, double-checked our gear, and even let the local police know about our trip. It's a safety thing, especially in such a remote spot. We were headed deep into this huge valley, surrounded by these towering alpine mountains, with a river running along the valley floor. By the end of our first day, we found this perfect spot to camp, right by the riverbank, hidden among eucalyptus trees. It was midweek and off-season, so we're the only ones in the valley, at least that we knew of. After setting up camp and having dinner by the fire, we snuggled up in our sleeping bags. But in the middle of the night, I woke up to this loud noise. I couldn't figure out what it was from inside the tent. I thought I heard something fall off our table outside, probably just possums or wombats, I thought, and went back to sleep. Next morning, I step out of the tent and something feels off. Our campsite's not how we left it. One of our chairs is by the table, and there's a loaf of bread out, half-eaten, with a clear bite mark. I asked Jess if she got up before me, but she hadn't. We checked our stuff and nothing was missing, but then I noticed footprints around our car. They weren't ours. It was like someone had been snooping around our campsite in the night. We debated moving to another spot, but ended up deciding to stay. I had my rifle, which made me feel a bit safer, though in hindsight, that was probably a dumb move. The day was uneventful, so I decided to check out this old homestead ruin across the valley. It's got this eerie history, like an unsolved murder from 1917. I'm halfway back to camp when I see Jess walking towards me, looking panicked. She tells me she saw this old man, like in his 70s, watching her from across the river. He disappeared into the bush as soon as she saw him. We drove around the valley, looking for any sign of a camp or this guy, but found nothing. As the sun set, we were both on edge. I kept the rifle close as we cooked dinner and chatted by the fire. Later, Jess needed to use the toilet, so I went with her. So there we were, just coming back from the portable loo, right? It's about 50 meters from our camp, tucked behind a tree. Given all the weird stuff that had been happening, I was like her personal bodyguard or something. We're walking back, chatting about how creepy the valley's gotten, when suddenly she grabs my arm. I mean, she's practically crushing it. I look up and there he is. The old guy Jess saw earlier, standing smack in the middle of our camp, just a meter away from where I'd left my rifle leaning against the table. It was like one of those moments in a horror movie where everything goes dead silent and you can hear your own heartbeat. He's old for sure. Got this scraggly beard, wearing these tattered clothes that look like they've seen better days. And get this, he's holding a piece of deer antler, like he's been carving it or something. And his ears, man, they've got these antler pieces jammed in the holes like some wild bushman earrings. His coat's got these freaky bone buttons too. Jess is squeezing my arm so tight, I'm thinking she might leave a bruise. Her eyes are wide, and she's got this look of pure fear. I can tell she's thinking, yep, that's the creeper from the riverbank. We inch closer, and I'm trying to play it cool, but inside I'm freaking out. The guy's just standing there, looking at us with this weird, unreadable expression. He's got these homemade leather shoes on, and I'm thinking, who is this guy? He breaks the silence with a casual, "G'day, mate." My heart's racing, but I manage to get out a shaky, "Hey, you gave us a heart attack, mate. Where'd you come from?" I'm trying to sound friendly, but I'm eyeing my rifle, thinking about how I can get to it without making things worse. He's all nonchalant, like, "Just over yonder. You lot aren't hunting around here, are you?" He's eyeing my rifle, and I'm thinking, great, he's probably a pro at that thing. I play it down. "Nah, we're just chilling. Probably gonna pack up soon." I'm edging towards the rifle, trying to be subtle. "Should put this away," I say, grabbing it and holding it like it's just a stick or something. He's like, "Guns don't spook me." No kidding, I think. I'm holding the rifle, feeling a bit better, but still on high alert. "No offense, mate, but you kinda surprised us. Haven't seen anyone else since we got here." He nods. "Saw you come in last night." Of course he did. He's been here for 40 years, he says. "Loves the spot." Then he's like, "Well, I'm off. I just wanted to say hi." And just like that, he walks off into the dark, no torch or anything. Jess and I are standing there, stunned. That was it. We were done. Packed up in the dark and got out of there. Driving out, we saw no signs of anyone else. No camps, no fires, nothing. Back home, we learn about the Button Man. This guy's a legend in the high country, linked to missing people and all sorts of eerie stuff. We don't camp there anymore. Nope, that part of the high country, it's a big no-go for us now. So I'm out camping with my buddies, right? And this one weekend trip just sticks out because of some super creepy stuff that happened. And guess what? It all happened to me. Both times, it's all about my never-ending quest to find a bathroom. The first weird thing goes down in the middle of the night. We're all chilling by the fire, and I decide to make the trek to the campground bathrooms, about a quarter-mile away. There's moonlight and other campers around, so I'm not too worried about wandering through the woods. I hit this fork in the path, and there's this unused campsite off to the side. It's dark, but I can make out the rocky outline of a fire pit. The place is empty, but I can't take my eyes off it. I'm just staring, feeling something's off, when I see this figure stepping out from the trees. This person's got a weird walk, like really peculiar. They're stumbling through the brush and end up right on the trail ahead of me. I'm close enough to see it's one of my friends from camp. The way he's walking is a dead giveaway, but he's wandering around the wrong camp and seems to be trying to ditch me in the dark. I'm thinking, how'd he get ahead of me with that wonky walk? I figure it's some kind of prank. I call out to him, but he's like, "Stop following me." His voice is weird, like a hiss in the dark. It sounds like him, but also not. I try to catch up, but no matter how fast I go, he stays the same distance away. And this is nuts, because my friend's legs are a mess. He shouldn't be able to move this fast. I lose him just as I get to the toilets. When I get back to camp, he's right there, same spot as before. Everyone swears he never left. I'm like, okay, prank, got it. Fast forward to around 3 a.m. Everyone's asleep and I need to pee again. I decide to just hit up a nearby tree instead of walking all the way to the bathrooms. So there I am, doing my thing by a tree, when I hear the unmistakable sound of a tent zipper. It's quick, like someone's making a stealthy exit. I don't think much of it until I'm heading back to the clearing. That's when I spot him, the same friend from earlier, the one who was creeping around the other campsite. He's standing there in this odd way, trying to light up a cigarette. The flicker of the lighter briefly illuminates his face and his eyes. Man, they're just locked onto me. Unblinking, intense. He finally gets his cigarette lit and takes a drag. Then he asks, "Can you hear me?" I'm about to answer, but something feels off. His voice is weird, like it's coming from far away or underwater. I just nod instead. "Can you hear me?" He repeats, clearer this time. "Yeah, man, what's up?" I reply. But then he asks again, "Can you hear me?" "When?" he asked. This time he's speaking so loudly that I can't move, like some sort of audio shock. "Dude, are you trying to wake everyone up?" I ask, a bit annoyed and confused. He just gives me this look, like he's disgusted or something, and keeps puffing on his cigarette. Then he starts walking off toward our parked vehicles, about 30 feet away. I'm thinking they're pulling another prank on me. I follow him around the car, ready to catch him in the act, but as I round the corner, there's nothing. The parking lot's empty, no sign of him or even a trace of his cigarette smoke. I head back to camp and there's his tent, all zipped up, his boots right outside. I can even hear him snoring. I'm standing there trying to make sense of it all. Did I imagine the whole thing? Was it just a trick of the night? My mind's racing, trying to make sense of it all. I can't comprehend what's going on, and I'm struggling to shake off this uneasy feeling. I went to bed, my mind still reeling from the night's events. I decided not to mention it in the morning. If it was a prank like I thought, they'd surely bring it up, but as you can guess, no one ever did.